वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीर वरधारी यमुना तीर वरधारी जय राधा माधव पंजाबी हाथी जय राधा माधव पंजाबी हाथी वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी वल्लभ सरस्वती गोस्वामी भगवान की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव की जय। रामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तों की जय। श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरियोधन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप धाम की जय। गंगावान की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। स्वामी भक्तवृंद की जय। All glories to their Summary. All glories to their Summary. All glories to their Summary. Thank you very much.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। सारथ्य पार्षद सेवना सख्या दौत्या वीरा आसना अनुगमन स्तवन प्रणाम स्निग्धेषु पाण्डुषु जगत् प्रणतिं च विष्णु Bhaktim Karoti Nripati Charana Aravinde Saratya Parashada Sevana Sakya Dotya Virasananugamanastavana Pranaman Snigdheshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu Bhaktim Karoti Nipatis Charanaravinде Saratya Parashada Sevana Sakya Dotya Virasananugamanastavana Pranaman Snigdheshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu Bhaktim Karoti Nipatis Charanaravinде Saratya Parashada Sevana Sakya Dotya Virasananugamanastavana Pranaman Snigdheshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu Bhaktim Karoti Nipatis Charanaravinде
Saratye Parashada Sevana Sakya Dotya Virasananugamanastavana Pranama Nideshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu Bhaktim Karoti Nipatis Charanaravinде Saratya Parashada Sevana Sakya Dotya Virasananugamanastavana Pranama Nideshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu Bhaktim Karoti Nipatis Charanaravinде
Saratya acceptance of the post of a chariot driver. Parashada acceptance of the presidency in the assembly of the Rajasuya sacrifice. Sevana engaging the mind constantly in the service of the Lord. Sakya to think of the Lord as a friend. Dautya acceptance of the post of a messenger. Virasana acceptance of the post of a watchman with a drawn sword at night. Anugamana following in the footsteps. Savana offering of prayers. Pranaman offering obeisances. Snigdheshu unto them who are malleable to the will of the Lord. Pandushu unto the sons of Pandu. Jagat the universal. Pranatim one who is obeyed. Cha and Vishnu of Vishnu. Bhaktim devotion. Karoti does. Nripati the king. Charanarvinde, unto his lotus feet. Translation. Maharaj Parikshit heard that out of his causeless mercy, Lord Krishna, or Vishnu, who is universally obeyed, rendered all kinds of service to the malleable sons of Pandu by accepting posts ranging from chariot driver to president to messenger, friend, night watchman, etc., according to the will of the Pandavas, obeying them like a servant and offering obeisances like one younger in years. When he heard this, Maharaj Parikshit became overwhelmed with devotion to the lotus feet of the Lord.
So, this is the exchange of love between the Lord and the devotee. It is not Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his Master, the Supreme, but we may not calculate the Master and the Supreme by our material experience. Just like in our material experience, we see the Master is always Master and the servant is always servant. But in the spiritual world, sometimes the Master is the servant of servant. This is called absolute world. Here there is distinction between Master and servant. But in the spiritual world, there is no such distinction. Sometimes the servant is rendering service to the Lord, and sometimes the Lord is serving to the Master. Just like Krishna, when he was playing with his friends, so they are sporting, and in the sporting there is defeat and victory. So if some of the friends who become victorious, then the challenge was that one who will be defeated, the victorious person will ride on his shoulder. That was the challenge. So when Krishna became defeated, the other boys, they rose up and got up on the shoulder of Krishna. And Krishna had to carry them. So, although Krishna is master, but he became a servant. Just like Krishna, when he was playing as a child of Mother Yashoda, so he was threatened with stick. Krishna, if you become again very naughty, then see the stick. The Krishna used to cry. There are very nice verses in the Kunti's prayer. The whole universe is afraid of Krishna, and Krishna is afraid by the stick of Mother Yashoda. Just see. This is Krishna. This is spiritual world. When Krishna was a little boy playing, Nanda Maharaj, a father of Krishna, Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, their foster father and mother. A real mother and father is Vasudeva and Devaki. So Nanda Maharaj came within the house and saw little Krishna. Yes, he was playing. Nanda Maharaj challenged Yashoda Mai, your Krishna can do something, what? Oh yes, why not? He can do anything. Immediately, Nanda, Yashoda Mata, Mother Yashoda, ordered Krishna, just carry the wooden slipper of your father and go there. So Krishna immediately took the slipper on his head and brought it to Maharaj Nanda. Then Nanda Maharaj said, "Oh, your Krishna is very good. Come on. These are the childhood pastimes of Krishna was enjoyed by the foster father and mother. Therefore, all these sages were surprised that what pious activities these Mother Jasoda did, that Krishna is completely under her control. Completely. The supreme controller, Ishvara Parama Krishna. Krishna is the supreme controller. There is no controller of Krishna. Krishna, the supreme Lord, Govindam Adi Purusham. He is the original person. So who can be his father and mother? He is the father of everyone, the supreme father. Sarvajonishu Kauntiya Sambhavanti Murteya. Krishna says, in all species of life, as many forms are there. I am the seed-giving father of all of them. So, nobody can be Krishna's father. Nobody can be controller of Krishna. Nobody can be master of Krishna. Krishna is the supreme. Matta parataram nanya. Nobody is superior than me. But he accepts inferior position out of love. If you love Krishna, the Mayavadi philosophers, they are very much eager to become one with Krishna, merge into the existence of Krishna. That is their perfection. And Vaishnava philosophy is, what is there? Becoming one with Krishna. We want to become father of Krishna. This is Krishna philosophy. Why I shall be one with my son? We want to become master of Krishna. There's the gopis. Gopis were addressing Krishna with very slanting language. Krishna enjoyed that. That is service to Krishna. Krishna, everyone worships Krishna as the supreme. So sometimes Krishna has become disgusted that everyone is coming simply offering me respectful obeisances. Nobody comes to chastise me. So who can chastise Krishna? His devotee. Therefore a devotee who comes to the position of chastising Krishna is more liked by Krishna. That is Krishna's position. So here about the Pandavas, it is described that Krishna accepted Sarathyam. Krishna's another name is Partha Sarathi. Partha. Arjun's name is Partha. Partha means the son of Pritha. Kunti's another name is Pritha. Kunti's father's name was Prithu. So, Kunti's name was Pritha, therefore Arjun's name was Partha. And because Krishna served as the chariot driver of Krishna, his another name is Partha Sarathi. So it is a fact that God has no name. Sometimes some philosophers say that God has no name. That is fact. But why God has so many names? These names are calculated according to his pastime. Just like Krishna is known as Devaki Nandan. Because he appeared as the son of Devaki, therefore his name is Devaki Nandan. By the action. Krishna is known as Jasodananda. Because Krishna acted as the son of Mother Jasoda, his name is Jasodananda. Krishna's name is Radharaman. Because Krishna enjoyed with Radharani, therefore his name is Radharaman. Krishna's name is Govinda. Because he gave pleasure even to the cows, therefore his name is Govinda. Or Krishna gives pleasure to every sense, therefore his name is Govinda. There are so many thousands and millions of names of Krishna. Actually his name is calculated in relationship with devotee. That is Krishna's name. And there are devotees in all fields of life, amongst human beings, among demigods, among plants, among trees, among animals, among insects, everywhere Krishna has God's relationship. So, therefore, the supreme name of the Lord is Krishna. Krishna means all attract. That is the meaning. Please sit down properly. Krishna's name is, this is the supreme name. Krishna, all attract. He can attract everyone. So this statement that God has no name, that is fact. But he has got his name in relationship with his activities with devotees. Krishna was as Sarathi, as it is stated here, Sarathyam. He acted as a chariot driver of Arjuna, therefore Krishna's name is Partha Sarathi. So Krishna did all these things. He acted as a chariot driver, he acted as the president of the assembly, not that he is eternally chariot driver. Eternally servant is the human being or the living entities. Eternally master, that is there. In Vaikuntha, in the spiritual world, there is equality with God and the living entities. They enjoy on equal level, but everyone knows that here is the supreme. That is spiritual world. When Krishna drives the chariot, Arjuna does not forget that he is my chariot driver. He knows that Krishna is the supreme, but he is so kind, he has accepted the post of my chariot driver. This is spiritual sense. And sometimes by the influence of Yogamaya, Krishna also forgets that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the devotee also forgets that he is eternal servant of Krishna. That is the action of Yogamaya. So, this Krishna consciousness moment, there are so many things to learn. And when practically one learns everything, not everything, as far as possible, perfection, then his position is Janma Karma Me Dibbam Jo Janati Tattva. Anyone who learns about Krishna, he is Janma, he has no father, but he is accepting a father. Therefore Janma. Janma means birth. When there is birth, there must be father and mother. So, when Krishna takes his birth, appears as a son, so there must be father and mother. But who can be his father and mother? His devotee. Because his business is with the devotees. With no other else. When he wants father and mother, the devotee must be father. When he wants some enemy, the devotee will become his enemy. What is speak of father and mother? Therefore, he is all attractive. He is as much attractive to his father and mother, similarly he is attractive to the small cup. You have seen the picture, Krishna is embracing. Krishna is not simply embracing Radharani or the Gopi. He is embracing the insignificant animal, calf. Therefore he is all attractive. And when the calf goes to Krishna, this is described in the Krishna book, how all the cows and calves were so much, attached to Krishna. That is Vrindavan. Everyone is attached to Krishna. It doesn't matter whether he is human being or plant or trees or water or animal or the land or the flowers or the fruits, whatever there is, they are all attracted to Krishna. So similarly, if we become attracted to Krishna, we are attracted to, actually we love Krishna, that is the fact. But we have forgotten it. We are under illusion. Just to analyze yourself. Why we love this body? It is very easy to understand. Because the soul is there. Does anybody loves a dead body? Is there any instance? A dead body is loved and embraced and taken into the room and kept it. Nobody cares. Throw it. Or burn it. So the body is not a lovable object. But because the soul is there within the body, therefore we love this body. This house, if it is vacant, nobody will come. But because there is Krishna, or because there are devotees of Krishna, so many people come. Not that this house is lovable. Similarly, analyze. You love this body, you work so hard day and night to keep this body fit. Why? Because the proprietor of the body, soul is there. Then the love transfers from body to the soul. Then why do you love the soul? Because it is part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore you love the soul. So ultimately the love goes to Krishna. This is natural feeling of love between Krishna or God and between living entities. But the Maya is interrupting the illusion. It is called illusion. The process of illusion, a process of interruption is called illusion. Otherwise, every one of us will love Krishna. Every one of us. You analyze, you will see that ultimately it goes to Krishna. Therefore in the Chaitanya Charitamrita it is said that Nitya Siddha Krishna Bhakti. The loving attitude of the living entity towards Krishna is Nitya Siddha. That is eternally fact. Not that we are this preaching Krishna consciousness movement. Artificially we are creating some situation that a person may love Krishna. No, that is not fact. We are cleansing the process which has covered our Krishna bhakti. Savanadi Suddha Chitta Karayudo. The love for Krishna is there automatically. Everyone loves. But it is not covered by Maya. So, Savanadi Suddha Chitta. Just like when you become diseased, actually your position is, normal position is that you can eat nicely, you can sleep nicely, you can talk nicely, that is healthy life. But when you cannot eat nicely, when you cannot sleep nicely, you cannot have sex life nicely, you take the help of a physician. The physician helps you. Not that artificially he is creating some machine in you so that you can eat. The eating process is already there. You are competent to eat. But it has been disrupted by another influence that is called Maya. Similarly, Krishna Bhakti or our love for Krishna is eternally fact. Somehow or other, it has been interrupted by the influence of Maya, and we have to cleanse this, or that the physician cures the disease. So this Maya means an illusion, it is not a fact. Just like you cannot eat, this is not a fact, you can eat. But something has come between you and your healthy life, that is disease. So not to become Krishna conscious is disease. To become Krishna conscious is healthy. That is real health. Not to become Krishna conscious, to become a demon, that is disease. So our process is to cure the disease. Not that we are enforcing something by some artificial means. That is not possible. That is not possible. Otherwise, in the foreign countries, for Krishna there is no foreign country because he is the proprietor everywhere. But people think that Krishna is a foreign name and he is Indian God, like that. But actually that is not thought. Just like you cannot say this sun, this is American sun and this is Indian sun or this is African sun. Sun is one. Similarly God is one. There cannot be two gods, American God or Indian God or African God. God is one. But when God consciousness comes into awakening, then we can understand what is God. Therefore the Bhagavad it is said, Atasya Krishna Namadi Nabhavid Grayam Indriyai. By these disease senses, blunt senses, disease means blunt condition. So, Atasya Krishna Namadi, simply I speak, Krishna is God, and you hear, it will not be appreciated. It will not be appreciated. Why Krishna God? He will make so many protests. But actually Krishna is God. So Krishna, Atasya Krishna, not only Krishna, to accept Krishna as God, to hear about his name also. Just like we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna's name. So this name, Krishna's form, Krishna's quality, Krishna's pastime, Krishna's endeavors, Atasya Krishna Namadi. Namadi means beginning from name. Nam Adi. Adi means beginning. So we can understand Krishna from the name. When name is perfectly chanted, then the form, the pastimes, the quality and all other things in relation to Krishna becomes revealed. Atasya Krishna Namadi Nabhavid Grayam Indriyai. But these blind senses cannot appreciate what is Krishna. then how it will be appreciated? Sevalamukhi jivhado sameva surastada. When we engage our tongue, Krishna consciousness begins from the tongue, not from the eyes. Some rascals want to see Krishna. They will see that Guru Maharaj. You see? Such rascals you will see that so-called Krishna. But to see real Krishna, one has to purify the eyes, purify the senses. Not that anyone comes, I am Krishna and I can see and become perfect. No. Sevalmukhi, and how the senses will be purified? By sevano, by rendering service. For many, many thousands of years, if one is engaged in the service of Krishna, then one day there is chance of understanding what is Krishna. Krishna is not so easy thing. Atasya Krishna namadi navavid vyayam indriyai sevalmukhi jivhado. Krishna also says in the Bhagavad Gita, Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid jadati siddhaya. Krishna is saying, it's not so easy. Manusyanam sahasreshu, out of many millions of people, Manusyanam sahasreshu kaschid jadati siddhaya. To siddha, to become siddha, is not that I go on doing all nonsense work, I become perfect man. No. Tamasa brahmacharjena, samena dhamena va, tyagena sattva. This is a process. How to become perfect. The rascals and cannot become perfect. These are the process. One has to undergo austerity, penance, brahmacharjena, completely cessation from sex life. Brahmacharjena, not that any rascal doing everything and he has realized Krishna, he has seen Krishna. These are the rascals. Krishna is param pavitra, param brahma, param dhama, pavitram paramam bhava. So to go to Krishna, one requires to be perfectly purified. Just like without becoming fire, you cannot enter into fire. If your body is not fire, as soon as you enter fire, you will be burnt. But you take another fire and push into the fire, there is no reaction. There is no reaction. Just like to be within the water, you must have a particular type of body so that living within the water will not be infected. Just like a human being, if he artificially enters into the water, for few hours he can remain. That is also great difficulty. He will feel bodily pain. But the fishes within the water, they are living very peacefully, happily for hundreds of years. So this is the real fact. You cannot enter into an atmosphere without being fit for living in that atmosphere. Is it very difficult to understand? Because they are going to the moon planet. Why they are coming back? Because there is no arrangement to make the body fit to live there. So God's creation is like that. You cannot by force enter into any atmosphere unless you become fit to live there. That is God's creation. By force you cannot live within water. By force the fish cannot live on the land. They will die. Similarly, by force you cannot enter into moon planet. Therefore they are frustrated. It is not possible. Similarly, without being Krishnite, you cannot understand what is Krishna. You cannot associate with him. That is the process of Krishna consciousness. To become perfectly Krishnite, as good as Krishna. That is purification point. Sarvapadhi vinimuktam tatparatena nirmalam. Nirmalam means purification. Now we are Samalam. We have got so many dirty things with us. So one has to become Nirmalam. Sarvapati Vinimuktam. First business is to become free from the designation. If you think yourself that I am American, I am Christian, I am Hindu, I am Indian, I am black, I am white, these are all designations. So Sarvapati Vinimuktam. When you become transcendental to all designations, when you come to the platform to understand that I am not this body, I am spirit soul, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma, then you become happy. So long we are with designations, we are not happy. To become designation less means feeling complete happiness. That is the test. If you simply artificially say that I am not identifying with this body, that is fact, but a real identification, no identification with the body will be realized when you don't feel pains and pleasure. Sarvapadi muktam tatparatena nirmalam. Rishikena, when your senses will be purified in that way, without any designation, then you can begin devotional service. Sarvapadi muktam tatparatena nirmalam. Rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaksirucha. Rishik means the senses. Rishikena rishikesha. Rishik means the senses, and Rishikesha, Rishika Isha, one who knows Sanskrit, the Sandhi, Rishikesha. Because Krishna is the master of the senses. So when our senses will be, Krishna is purified, he must be the Paramdham, Parabrahma, Paramdham, Pavitam, Paramam. Transcendental, completely purified. So unless you are also completely purified, how you can touch Krishna? This is common sense reason. Therefore, Krishna realization is not so easy. You just train and hire. It is not the process. Then you shall sit down backside. And before the deity it should not be done. From the childhood it should be trained up. So, this is called purification. To learn how to sit down before the deity, how to talk before the deity. So everything should be learned. There are seva aparat, 64 kinds of offenses in the service. So, we have to become offenseless. Then Krishna will accept your service. Not by making a show. Krishna will accept your service when you are sevanmukhi jivhadau swayameva suratada. Automatically there will be. As soon as you purify, Krishna will appear immediately. Krishna is there. Therefore, premanjala churita bhakti vilochanena Santa Sadaiva Hridayeshu Vilokaya. Those who are purified, Santa, saintly person, they can see Krishna in every second, every moment. Because they have been purified. After purification, there will be prema, love. The symptoms of purification is that when you do not love anything except Krishna, that is purification. We have got our love. So instead of loving Krishna, we are loving dogs, cats and this and that. My country, community, family, there are so many ways distributed. So when you love Krishna, automatically you love other things. But at the present moment, we do not love Krishna, only the other things. but love is there. Just like to keep the tree quite fitness, you have to pour water in the root. But if you simply give up the watering to the root, if you simply water the leaves, twigs and the branches, then what will do? Naturally there will be declination of the tree automatically. If you do not give food to the stomach, and if you supply food to the eyes, to the ears, to the then what will be your health? Similarly, so long we do not love Krishna, then whatever those so-called love we are saying to the society, friendship and love and country and community, they are all futile. Therefore, in spite of so much advancement of so-called civilization, there is no love between one another. You try to love Krishna, then everything will be perfect. Thank you.
In 1973, April, and Pradyumna came up to me and said, how would you like to come with Prabhupada and type Chaitanya Charitamrita? He says, okay, tomorrow we're going to Mayapur, so you have to learn how to read Bengali and then you can come with Prabhupada. I said, okay, no problem. So he gave me a Bengali book, I learned how to read Bengali, and I was off with Prabhupada the next day, because like we never thought anything was impossible. That if Prabhupada wanted us to do something, then impossibles are right in the Fool's Dictionary, so yeah, no problem. I learned to read Bengali, and I get to go with Prabhupada.
In Calcutta, it was a challenging place for us. Something about the temple, and at least at one period, everyone was sick. Everybody had dysentery, and the service, there wasn't enough people to do the basic service. So it was a challenge. And Bhanu Swami was there. And Bhanu Swami, as I remember, is a Naishtika brahmachari. And through all of this, he never got sick. He never lost his focus. He remained active, and when others were down in their attitude, consciousness, he was never affected by it. And at one point, he's the only person who was well and up serving. Prabhupada made note one day, and he said, just see, he said, this is the value of brahmacharya. He said, because he is brahmachari, he is able to circumvent all the challenges of the world and continue steady in his service. This is the value of brahmacharya.
I get to have a private darshan of Srila Prabhupada. Of course, his servant was in the room, and myself and Prabhupada. When I first came before him, with what I thought was just like this huge life-ending problem, my whole consciousness absorbed and being anxiety about this problem, all of a sudden, when I got in there, the whole problem just like shrunk down to the size of the water in the hoof print of a calf. This huge unsolvable anxiety just became insignificant. And there I was like totally embarrassed. All of a sudden it didn't seem like something that I should bother Prabhupada with, and I was so embarrassed. But here I am, I had disturbed him. And at that time, Prabhupada communicated something to me. You've probably heard from other devotees how sometimes Prabhupada would communicate without speaking. Prabhupada became a mirror. I think that's a guru's function, to be like a mirror to the disciple. He was like a mirror. He was showing me my spiritual situation. And I had this like really esoteric, like internal vision, like for a few seconds of myself being this brilliant, diamond-like spiritual spark within my heart, but I was covered over with just like mountains and heaps of dirt. And I also had a vision of Srila Prabhupada sitting there, the same brilliant spiritual spark, only completely clear of any covering. And he communicated to me with that vision that I was just like him, that I was covered, and that all I needed to do was to follow his instructions and I would become completely uncovered like him. And that was such an intense realization, and I thought, oh, how can I bring up my petty, mundane problem? But like I said, after I'd gone and disturbed and he was sitting there expectantly, then I did. I blurted it out. The most significant thing about that whole experience was that internal mirror-like vision that he gave me of myself and himself.
Winter of 1973, Vishnu Jana Swami's bus had burned down somewhere in America, and while Karenda and the BBT were building him a new bus, he came to sail down the Ganges and do Harinam Sankirtanam Prasadam distribution, and he had a slideshow to show these villages. And Vishnu Jana was amazing, doing kirtan through the villages. I mean, people were asking us to take their children with us, and they were just in shock. And we'd have a program every night with a big slideshow. And show them London Rath Yatra and San Francisco Rath Yatra. They were blown away that their Hinduism was actually spreading all over the world, because we were the first Western Hindus they'd ever seen. And it wasn't just that we were a handful. We represented this movement with temples and festivals all over the world. So, of course, who's the person responsible for all this is Prabhupada. The villagers were just enormously impressed. Anyway, we sailed down the Ganges for 40 days and nights. And we got stopped in northern Bengal by a huge dam called Farakka Barrage. So then we took trips down to Calcutta, where we met Prabhupada. So we had some kind of, little camera with us, but somebody had a shaky hand. It all came out looking like ghostly images, so we didn't have anything to show Prabhupada. But when we were reporting in the room about it, Vishnu Jana Swami said that we had distributed 500 sets of japa beads. And Prabhupada looked very concerned, said, "You cannot do that. Now they think you are their guru." So he was a little upset that we didn't know these subtleties of Indian culture, that if you give someone beads and tell them to chant Hare Krishna, you've just given them Harinam initiation, and that's how they see it. So I think there must be a lot of villages along the Ganges where they have this memory of this bronze god from the West who looked like Lord Chaitanya and gave them initiation.
Srila Prabhupada, one time, he singled me out in one of the darshans. He said to me, "Oh, my sister tells me you speak Bhagavatam very nicely." And so when he said that, I didn't know what to say, because I never spoke Bhagavatam, but to speak of nicely. And so I didn't know, I was just completely bewildered and puzzled, why he said that. But then it was in Calcutta that I had been reading Krishna book in front of Pishima, because it was Janmashtami in 1972. And what we had to do, all the devotees were reading Krishna book from morning till night. And so when it was my turn to read, I was reading Raslila. And she was my only audience. There were hardly any people then. There's nobody in the temple in Calcutta those days. So she was about the only one sitting in front of me, and I was reading in English, and she didn't know a word of English. But I was being real dramatic, Krishna left the gopis, and they were crying, and then she was crying and crying and crying, although she didn't know any English. So she understood the mood of it. And then she must have told Prabhupada that I speak Bhagavatam. But then now, 30 years later, I thought about what Prabhupada said. And in Prabhupada's lifetime, I never spoke Bhagavatam, and even for 27 years, since when I was a devotee, I never spoke Bhagavatam. But now I'm speaking Bhagavatam. Just this year, when I was speaking Bhagavatam in VIG, it struck me that Prabhupada's words came true. Even though I didn't understand what is he talking about? But then I thought, wow, pure devotee's words must be true. That it has to happen. And even though I had no plan of ever speaking Bhagavatam, but it happened anyway, by Krishna's arrangement.
We were in Prabhupada's room in Calcutta, and
जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। आज श्रील काल्य कृष्णदास जी का तिरुभाव दिवस है, तो हम उनका संक्षिप्त वर्णन पढ़ेंगे। श्रील काल्य कृष्णदास के स्मरण मात्र से व्यक्ति को निश्चित ही श्री चैतन्य एवं श्री नित्यानंद की प्राप्ति होगी। चैतन्य भागवत। नित्यानंद प्रभु के प्रति सर्वथा समर्पित कालिया कृष्णदास निताई के चरण कमलों के अतिरिक्त कुछ नहीं जानते थे। उन्होंने वृंदावन में भजन करते हुए अपनी देह त्यागी। व्रज लीला में वे कृष्ण बलराम के गोप सखा लवंग हैं। श्रील कालिया कृष्णदास तिरुभावतिथि महामहोत्सव की जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल।